So that's basically just the pre, during, and post care, and all the aspects of what that may look like mentally, emotionally, physically for each individual, and not just the talent, but also the crew is very important to us. And then we also make sure everyone meets everybody beforehand, so whether that's on Zoom or in person, so that way you get to know the people that you're going to be working with and scening with. You get to meet your camera person, so you're not like, who is that shady motherfucker that's going to be watching me this whole time? So it's very important that everyone has informed consent. So you know the negatives, the positives, the risks, the rewards to anything that you may be involving yourself into.
Do we have any content creators in here today? Okay. Anybody interested in content creation or modeling, new modeling? So, I'm sure almost every time when you ask somebody, especially if you've been doing this for a certain amount of years, there's always bad experiences that you can have. So we're trying to mitigate as much of that as possible. That we don't want the bad experiences to be because of the company. We don't want uncomfortable experiences to be because of the company. And we've been on other people's sets enough times to know, like, nah, that shit ain't right. So it's very important, to know just because we do the type of work that we do doesn't mean you should be subject to anything that's unprofessional. You shouldn't be subject to any time that you feel disrespected or that you feel that someone is trying to use you, especially if that's not on your list of things that you would do. So we would like to open up. Anybody have any questions? Don't be shy. This is not the time to be shy. This is a safe space for everybody. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
It seems as though you put a lot of thought and care into kind of doing all that paperwork. That's people in the industry that very
There are some companies who definitely also go above and beyond when it comes to making sure people are okay, but it's usually the BDSM companies.
Yeah.
When you go into more just like the hardcore, mainstream kind of porn, a lot of times, like when I get hired by those companies, I might not even know who I'm going to shoot with until day of. So we haven't had any kind of conversation of like, are you comfortable with me pulling your hair, or this, that, and the other, like, or even just basic things. Are you comfortable with kissing? Not everybody is a kisser. So I think it's like a mix between both, because we shoot everything for Royal Fetish films. We want every kind of fetish possible to be included in some way, shape, form, or fashion into any of the scenes that we do. So you might have something that's a lot more on the sensual side, and if we're working with talent who do that kind of scene, a lot of times people say, no one's ever asked me that. And that's where I feel like, yeah, we're doing our job in that situation, because it lends itself to being a lot more free on camera when I'm safe, because these people know what not to do. So if somebody's going to do some shit that I said don't do, then I know that there's a serious problem. And in some scenes you might go on, so I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And you don't want that to be there, because you want to be as free as possible within the parameters that you give somebody. Thank you for the question.
At some point, it's like the talent is supposed to be there. Certain type of talent you will not work with, red flags.
There's a whole lot of red flags. The good thing about social media is that we can see what you've been saying online for the last however long, but also we try to work with people who have worked with people that we work with. So that way we can ask, hey, how was such and such on set? Or how was this person to work with? But then also, for us, if there's red flags, if you are fetishizing people, if you got some old transphobic shit in your past, I don't care how long ago, if you didn't address it or speak on it, then we're gonna hold it that you're probably not the kind of person that we want to work with. It's okay. There's nothing up there. Not to be adamant. But I think, for us, we do want people to want to be there as well. So we definitely tell people, like, you can look us up as far back as you want, because we've always stood for the same thing. We've grown and we've learned over time, but we've always stood for the same thing from John. Sure.
How did you get into producing?
I got into producing Jasmine and I, when we first decided that we wanted to start World Fetish Film, we wanted to do it on our own. We didn't want anybody else to tell us how to do it. I'm 42 now. I started in adult entertainment. I shot my first porn when I was 18 years old. That was my first time being in a scene, and ever since then, because I actually was in school for a little while before I left, I wanted to be a cinematographer. So in my music career, I did the treatments and wrote out a lot of my music videos and worked with directors to kind of put my videos together. So when we decided like Noire Films, I was like, this is what I want to do. This kind of the lane I want. And Jasmine was coming from the perspective, she hadn't been in porn before, but she knew what she liked to watch. You know, and she knew what was out there, and she had the perspective, like, as a black woman specifically, like, she would watch porn and feel bad about it because of how women are treated in porn. So we came from it from a lot of those different kind of angles, and people told us that it wouldn't work. So on one end, we were like, yeah, we want to do this. Another one was like, people don't want to put money into it, so we don't produce it ourselves. Because they'll tell you anything black won't work. And then a couple years later, they'll be doing your shit. And there's a whole lot of people we've seen doing our shit because they didn't know how to like black people 10 years ago. I look at a lot of older scenes from different companies. I'm like, damn, look at all that melanin you leaving on the table. You just leaving that melanin off. It's bosh. This is that, you know. Or actually trying to create scenes from a place of female pleasure. I've been on, like I said, I've been on set for a long time. There's mad sets I've been on where, like, you know, we about to do something and I might be going to give my partner, my scene partner a head or something. They're like, oh no, we're not doing pussy eating today. It's like, wait, you just want me to ram myself into somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit's crazy. But they're like, nah, we can't, I always find this funny. I think about sets that I was initially on there, like, and I asked them, like, why would you not have pussy in your scene? Like, I personally love eating pussy, but also it's like, you should have foreplay. She's doing it to me, why would not? Right? They were like, oh, we can't get a good angle on it because so much of mainstream porn is about penetration. And I'm like, that was something especially for Jasmine and I, like, there's so many other ways to show pleasure. It doesn't just have to be penis and vagina for 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, people got faces.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we like it, our faces will tell a whole story. Or people gripping on the sheets. Or how somebody's legs move or twitch, or somebody pulling the head closer. Like, there's a whole lot of ways to show pussy that's sexy as hell. You know, and then also it's like, you can also get a better lens and get in there a little bit closer. Right? So it's like those, yeah, come on in. It's like a whole thing, and it's really been interesting and beautiful to watch the progression of porn as an art form over the years since we've been involved, because there are some of those major companies that have been looking at royal fetish films, and we'll see like, oh, okay, now y'all do that. Because it's not just we saying you biting, like, I've been on your set before and heard what you said. You know what I'm saying? So if you are out there in the crowd right now, you're like, you want to do it and somebody told you you can't go that way, it worked that way. And a whole lot of other ways too. Anybody else? So today we're going to be showing, somebody? Sure.
I was just gonna ask if you've ever been like on Pornhub in the ebony section. They don't. Is it just me, or like I've heard a consensus on Twitter that they don't show the best talent or a wide spectrum of black women's bodies or black talent in general on the Pornhub section. Do you think that is intentional? As you mentioned before, there's a lot of racism in those spaces, and if you look at other spots that have porn, like maybe even Twitter, they show a wide variety of, you know, beautiful black women, and not trying to shame anybody's body or anything, but it's kind of comes on as like they don't put the best talent as they do with other categories, or not necessarily best talent, but like they don't give. It's always the same type of videos, or it's the same type of person.
Well, it's funny, I actually was 3 months ago in interview with people who are actually trying to work to revamp Pornhub, maybe. I mean, I say maybe because they say that they do that every few years, right? With a couple other black performers. And I think Pornhub, first and foremost, black creators and performers should be on their main page. You shouldn't just have to go to the ebony section to find black creators. And it should be all bodies. It should be very, like, I think about this too. When I first started being in the industry, it was very rare that you would see black women with their natural hair.
Yes.
You know, so you don't really see black women with natural hair on that main page either. You know, and a lot of these companies do not, like if you go on set, they do not have hair and makeup for black folks. So they'll either tell you to come makeup ready, or they'll have somebody that definitely doesn't have your skin tone on a palette, and probably never have. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the same kind of thing when I think about even on the tube sites. We've been pushing to not only be BBC, to not only be, you know, black on black, or if you look for IR, we've gotten that removed from most sites, because especially IR would be black man, white woman. And no other kind, like there's only two races of black men and white women, I guess, but like, and nobody else. So it's like if you're gonna racialize people, you might as well have the whole spectrum of people, or get that shit out of here. You know, and a lot of the tube sites have paid attention to that. You know, some haven't. It's kind of like every single other space that we have to navigate as black folk. But the problem is with porn, there is absolutely no regulating body. You know what I'm saying? There's no one you can go to, like HR, unless it's with that particular company, and chances are most of those companies have no one that, there's nothing that's going to regulate that company if they choose not to do anything within their HR department. So it just comes down to the same as always, like we got to make it ourselves. Like I'm still hoping for the day that some brilliant black person come up with a tube site that's ours. You know what I'm saying? I have no computer skills like that. So I'm hoping somebody come along, and we will definitely give all the input that we possibly can. So if you know somebody who's talented enough to build a website like that, please send them our way. And there's a whole lot of black content creators that would gladly give all the information we have to make a better space for all of us. Because also a lot of those sites like Pornhub just recently stopped letting people use certain words that they could have taken off that shit a whole long time ago. So, you know, we are definitely, you leaned on the wrong light, son. You took away my moonlight.
My bad, Lord.
It's okay.
It's okay. Thank you.
That's good.
Oh, you got it. You got it. That Barry White came on. Went right to the table. If we could get a couple more chairs in here too. I think with this.
I was just going to add one other thing too, that a lot of the things, because we've sat down with like Clips for Sale and Pornhub and talked to the people that are actually, you know, running and operating these kind of sites, and they seem to fall back on if there's the algorithm, that it's not actually them being like, these white bodies only on our page. It's like, no, the algorithm is saying these bodies. These are the popular performers. And so the algorithm is dumping them onto our top page. And the issue then we respond is who's writing the algorithm? Right. What does the algorithm say? You know, like, yeah. So, you know, those are the things that people aren't aware of, is even those unconscious bias. That they're not even including us in their algorithms, and so we're being constantly pushed to the side because we're not a part of their thinking at all. So that's definitely an issue that is constantly coming up, and we have actually tried to talk to them to work on those things specifically.
Yes.
So you kind of touched on like the boundaries and like kind of fetishization that goes on. And I watched an interview with Jasmine and he talked about his experience with black and kind of how it can just turn really quickly, like kind of dark. So do you feel like in the industry as a whole it's kind of shifting where the actors are setting those hard boundaries and kind of like standing up for themselves a lot more, like they feel that confidence?
I think some people are. I mean, unfortunately, like black is a good example. Black never turned. black is a racist term. Black is saying that once a white woman has sex with a black man, she now has a stain. She's marked, she's soiled, sullied, right? So there are certain companies that are pretty much open and outwardly racist, and people still choose to work with them. You know, some of us are just like, I'll never work for that. You know, and the problem is, some of those companies are under the umbrella of larger companies that also own other ones that maybe they don't tell you that they're sponsoring racist content. And you're like, damn, I do exactly what this company is always shooting. How come they never holler at? And you find out, oh no, they also own black or dog fart or some shit.
I think also there's more opportunities and platforms for performers to be independent content creators, like OnlyFans, Sex Cancer, Night Loyal Fans. Jasmine King started a company called Black Excellence to help those content creators manage their premium platforms. Because now that there are so many opportunities, it's actually overwhelming of like, well, which ones do I focus on, and how do I price myself, and you know, how do I interact with my fans that's meaningful, but also doesn't waste my time because I'm working and I'm doing this for money. So I think the fact that people have more opportunity to be able to support themselves and sustain themselves beyond what the mainstream industry or specific production companies may say is in or out has allowed more performers to be able to express themselves and say fuck you to those other companies. But it's still an upward hill battle. It's still work. It's still, you know, hard. But at least you don't have to put up with a lot of more bullshit than you did when King was starting.
Any other questions? I got a question for y'all. Have you ever watched porn in a public space before?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Has anybody been to any of our screenings before? I know. Oh, that's what's up. Because I think one of the first times we ever did a live screening was Sex Down South, maybe like 3-4 years ago. So the scene that we're going to show today is called A Marvelous Fuck Fest. It is a scene. It's like a. Is it? What number do you have to have in people to hit orgy?
6 or more.
4 or more?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's a 3-couple orgy, where it is kind of like picking up where one of our other scenes called Fuck Furniture left off. Our scene Fuck Furniture was awesome because it was a scene that we put together for Jasmine's birthday, where we had Dylan Diaz and Jake Waters as her Fuck Furniture. They be going to the gym a lot. So basically we got the fuck on top of them, and they were like swinging Jasmine into my dick and shit. It was crazy. So we were like, okay, so we had this amazing scene with them. What's the next step? So I'll be, you know, perusing the Twitters every now and again, and found a really amazing couple, Athena Hayes, and we are like, we then had Tiana reach out to everybody. We had all the things that Tiana said we're gonna do. So this is how it wound up. We sometimes shoot stuff in a very, very like artistic, and we didn't do that. We wanted this one to be very raw. It is very natural. It is, there's a lot of different ways, because everybody has different ways that they like to consume their porn, right? Sometimes you want to see somebody that look like they are holding their phone and doing them angles and their shit all on their own. And other times you want to think like, the fuck? Did Ryan Coogler shoot this shit? Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always, does anybody have a preference? Like, who likes like the phone type shit? Who likes the super well done type shit? Okay, so it's about, you know, I like both. I like both like a motherfucker. I'm like, yo, surprise me.
Right.
You know what? I like amateur porn to the point though where I'll be like, I wonder if they got a 2257 for this one, because this one seemed a little too amateur for me. I'm a little nervous. Like, I just did that shit. I want to know that both people think that it's okay for that shit to be out there. Like, I don't want to think like somebody got surprised or some revenge porn or some shit. Then I feel real bad. But so this one we shot from the perspective, like we wanted everybody's pleasure to be captured. We wanted everybody to experience all the different things they were comfortable with. Everybody had given their hard limits and all that good shit.
And their wish list.
And their wish list.
Fun wish list.
So there was some wish list. So you wanna give them a couple words while I pull this up again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this was really great because we basically had to meet with the different couples separately and get their heart and soft boundaries and go through the list. And then we all brought everyone together where then Jasmine and King were also able to share their boundaries and wish lists with everybody. So there was like 4 or 5 different Zoom meetings in order for this one scene to come together. So there was a lot of preparing to make sure that then there was freedom and fluidity that could flow within the scene. And I think it also helped that everyone trusted each other. They all had some sort of rapport beforehand, which really helped with the chemistry. But like King said, instead of us being like, okay, we're going to be doing these acts and this kink and that kink, you know, in these different ways, this one we were just like, okay, let's throw some spaghetti at the lawn. See what happens.
The reason that I love this scene so much is because I believe that if all of us in here were just like, fuck it, we gonna have this orgy right now. Not everybody would engage with each other the same exact way, but there is a way to engage with everybody to at least show somebody like, we are enjoying this pleasure together. We don't particularly have to do the exact same thing to one another. Oh shit. So I was like, we doing what? But so like 2 people might not be the same orientation, for lack of a better word, but that doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge that this person is here, they're existing, they're experiencing pleasure in your space, and if you can assist and add on to it in a way that you're comfortable with, then fucking do that shit. So that's kind of like what this scene is about. A lot of people ask if we have scripts. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. This particular scene, we did not. We were just like, we gonna talk about some shit and see how it could lead into all of us fucking. So, there we go. All right, so we're gonna hit the lights. If you do have to run out or handle something, we are not doing that in here, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Without the consent of everybody else. So keep your hands to yourself.
I mean, that's right.
Can everybody hear it okay?
No.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how this is gonna work though.
What about the mic?
That's what I'm thinking. No, I can't. Maybe put it into the speaker actually. Pause real quick. Pause real quick.
You need the light?
Yeah.
They say black out, they say black out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Oh no, not that
Okay, I think one of my favorite things when King first wanted to do this scene that he brought is like, I just want everybody to be able to get their pleasure and be able to interact with one another. So that was one of the ultimate goals. Like we did, like you said, we didn't have a script, but we definitely had some structure. And so it was more improvisational, if you will, based on us having that structure. So we wanted to make sure if you're, like you said, if it wasn't your cup of tea, you could do something else to interact with that person. So everybody's boundaries were respected, but everyone was able to give and receive however they felt comfortable. Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
Don't be shy.
Can you walk me through a little bit of like your creation process?
Sorry, Master.
For when you guys do scripts, what is that process generally?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So with our script process, it usually starts with an idea, and then we get what we want, and it also is, if it's a trade scene versus a paid scene. So trade scenes in the industry means that everyone is coming and contributing to it, and also gets everything out of it. So you'll get the rods out of it, the PTS out of it, we usually all split costs, compared to a paid scene where if it's a royal fetish scene, then we're paying you as the talent, as the crew, to be there and participate. So depending on those kind of situations, we will then tailor the script based on that. So a trade scene will have more collaborative script because it's not just what we want to see and what we want to say. We want to make sure that everybody's involved has their piece that they want to input into it, so that way they're getting the content that they need out of it. Compared to when if it's a royal fetish script, then usually we'll write, it's not like in a Google Doc, more like a spreadsheet, and I think it's more based on shot lists. Jasmine and King are really great ad-libbers, and Jasmine, I don't want to throw her under the bus, she doesn't like to memorize things. So, I feel like she would admit that herself, so I'm not saying anything she wouldn't say herself. And so because of her boundary, essentially, that's her boundary around shooting, is she doesn't want to have to remember shit, she wants to be able to focus on what she